Hello everyone, my name is Catalyst, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the final episode of Battlefield Breakdown, a series in which I analyze elite Battlefield players' gameplay and explain why and how they were able to perform at such a high level. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for watching this series. It's been a lot of fun to make in a time in which Battlefield content can be very stale, so thank you very much. It is time for the series to depart, however, and at a good time too. These have been increasingly time-consuming to make, and hopefully soon we will be getting some Battlefield 2042 content. For those that have watched the series all the way through, I'm curious, who is your favorite episode? Oh, and all the breakdown episodes will be placed in a playlist for your viewing pleasure in case you are new to the series or want to watch some episodes over again. That playlist will be in the description below. Before we get started today, just a quick reminder, the way the YouTube algorithm suggests content is based on how much you interact with it, so if you enjoy this type of content and want to see more of it, make sure that you either like the video, subscribe to the channel, and interact with the video in some way so you don't miss any future uploads or announcements. As a final rundown of how the series works, the players that will be featured in this series will all be content creators, as they are the most accessible for people who want to watch more, and this is not a conversation about who is the overall best player, but instead is a series that highlights certain things that players do exceptionally well. And today we're going to be talking about Slothity, otherwise known as Sloth, and take a look at how he has been able to establish himself as a premier player on every single platform. So out of all the content creators that we've covered on this series, Sloth is probably the one that you haven't heard of before, and that's because he's the least active out of all the folks that we've covered so far, to the point where calling him a content creator might be a little generous, and even he would admit that he is more of a just turn on the stream and play kind of guy. But with all that being said, he is a very well-known person in the streaming community and competitive community for Battlefield, and he is truly one of the best active players, so he absolutely deserves an episode on him. I specifically wanted to do an episode on Sloth because, as I mentioned, and I find this very interesting, he's become an elite player on every platform. He started on Xbox on one of the best competitive teams before switching to PlayStation 4, where I met him and won tournaments with him, and now of course he is dominating on PC. And I think it's an important and interesting talking point because far too often do I hear that one region or one platform is more difficult than the other, and sure, the differences between PC and console are very noticeable at times, but may I present to you somebody who has mastered them all on multiple regions, playing NA and in Europe, and playing on legitimately every available platform. If not just to show that we can all get better regardless of our circumstances, it just takes a little time and a little bit of effort. The main thing that I noticed and want to focus on in today's episode is how good Sloth is at controlling the map around him. We've talked about controlling the map before on Catalyst HD in what seems like eons ago at this point early in the game's life cycle, but for those who are just coming around now, Sloth is a very good example as to how you can control an area of the map with your positioning and still remain aggressive. A lot of times in Battlefield, especially with new players, the maps are so big that for some people it can be overwhelming, and the solution for them is to play passively so they feel like they can control their surroundings better. And while yes, there is absolutely a time to be passive, actively using the map to your advantage and moving throughout it is what separates good players from bad ones. In this clip here from Sloth, you can see a little bit of both passive gameplay and aggressive gameplay when it calls for it, but you'll notice Sloth does an exceptional job at controlling this area on the flag against overwhelming odds. Based on his minimap and what he sees in front of him, he has teammates on the right side of the rubble, and there is smoke in front of him. The flag UI shows that there are a lot of enemies on the flag, so Sloth correctly assumes that they are in front of him in the smoke, and he just kind of sits there and waits for the enemy to come to him before making his next move. And of course, his next move is recognizing that he's not killing people quickly enough and needs to get to work. He decides to do a grenade shot here, which is a technique that utilizes the ability to shoot grenades in Battlefield 5. It's a technique that has come around more in the ending stages of the game's life cycle, and I don't know if we have specifically talked about it on the series yet, but if not, the grenade shot is typically done when you are on the German team, as the steel hand grenade is easier to shoot. You can do it on other factions, but it's a little bit more difficult to get the timing down, but you throw a grenade either above a head glitch or at a high traffic area, and the timing of the animation of the throw is precise enough that if you time it correctly and you are accurate enough, you can shoot the grenade and get kills with it. It's much faster than just throwing a grenade and waiting for the fuse to go off, and it's more productive than passively waiting if you know where people are. And of course, as you see, Sloth gets 3 kills, which makes him comfortable enough to move up and get a 4th kill. I want you to pay attention to how Sloth plays this here and how he works around the pillar. A lot of players, myself included, might make the mistake of overextending himself through the smoke to try and chase more kills, but the reality is that Sloth still doesn't know how many people are left in this area, so he opts to control the area from this angle while the smoke dissipates. He gets a few more kills and does some pole work here, he's especially good at that, and then realizes that he is surrounded and needs to leave the area. I know the audio is really low, I have done that personally, so the audio commentary doesn't get drowned out by it, but I think it's important to note that Sloth in this clip is actually holding a conversation with another player, which seems irrelevant, but it does show him remaining calm in a tough situation. He doesn't stutter, he doesn't trip over words, he doesn't panic, he remains calm the entire way through, and I think that calm mentality is something that I think a lot of players can learn from. He then finds his escape route and goes for it, running through the enemy smoke, getting a kill on an unsuspecting player before running out the door, bypassing a Battlefield 2042 testing bot who's just living his best life in the corner up there, and into the safety of numbers with his teammates before continuing to re-peek the door and get more kills from this position. I know most of you are probably not keeping score of how many people Sloth kills in this clip, so I went ahead and counted for you. He earns 25 kills by the time this clip ends. Well, technically 24 and 1 assist counts as kill, but if I told you at the beginning of the clip that Sloth kills 25 people in this video, you might assume that he either hits a massive flank or covers a lot of ground, but after watching it, he's done it all in one small sliver of the map. Controlling the map around you with your positioning is so important. We've seen bits and pieces of that in other episodes like with Jordy and Enders, and you really do not have to be super aggressive and risk overextending to get a lot of kills on the map. This clip is another good example of controlling an area, but this time it's on a flag, one that Sloth is about to clear mostly by himself. A lot of this also comes down to experience, which with having a huge chunk of hours on every platform, you can imagine Sloth has a lot of. Watch as he meticulously clears the objective, checking every corner, pre-aiming traffic areas, and checking spawns. But you'll also notice that he never really leaves the area that he is in, controlling the entirety of this point from this one staircase, as opposed to rushing around the objective over to the docks to try and find the last remaining players on the flag. Really, his only mistake in the clip is dropping down at the end and getting killed by a player standing next to him, which I don't even really blame him for, considering that his teammate decided to go and hide in a corner instead of helping him clear the remaining enemies on the flag, which I don't know about you, but this would make my blood boil in the moment. Still, in the end, a good streak and a good example. And then there's the stuff that Sloth does that I just can't really explain. Like, have you ever seen a man mindfuck a group of players into going in one direction? Well, I have, and now you're about to as well. He's about to make these people look like they are doing the cha-cha slide at a YMCA event. I don't even have something to point to or break down here. You just all have to see this. I don't think I've ever seen one player influence that many people before, killing teammates behind them, forcing more people to turn around just to kill them all from behind again. It's actually kind of incredible. Before I leave you here today, I do want to let this final clip run in the background that shows off Sloth's mechanical skills such as movement, tracking, and flicking to enemies, which he all does really, really well. A lot of the episode today has been about controlling an area of the map with your positioning, but like I said at the beginning, I also wanted this episode today to prove a point to you that I hope this entire series really has proven to you, for those of you who have watched the entire way through, and that's that you can improve and you can get better regardless of region, platform, or setup. We've had European players, we've had console players, we've had American players, we've had PC players, Omni, 7, PLG, competitive players. We've had legitimately every single type of player on this series. And sure, you may have your playstyle preferences, you may have your platform preferences, of course, but regardless of where you are in your game skill, you can improve. And I see Sloth as a perfect example of that, and I have a lot of respect for him. All you need to do is to be pushed in the right direction and taught the right things, and I hope that in making this series I have shown you ways that you all can improve too. We have covered a wide range of topics, about as many as I can, really, to be honest, with Battlefield 5 without becoming completely redundant, but the good news is that there's a new game coming, and there's going to be a whole lot of stuff to learn, and I hope to learn and teach with all of you then. That's the end of the episode, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank Slothity for collaborating with me on this episode and for sending me his gameplay. I greatly appreciate it. As always, the link to the content creators' channels will be in the description below. Comment down below if you enjoyed the video. Make sure that you like it and interact with it. Subscribe if you're new and turn on post notifications so you don't miss any other uploads or episodes. I stream 4 nights a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my Twitch. Link in the description once again below. Once again, thank you so much for watching. My name is Catalyst. This has been the Battlefield Breakdown series, and I will see you all another time.